What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm here today to talk about two killers that I think would be a good fit in Friday the 13th, the game. So, as we know, Friday the 13th, the game stars Jason from Friday the 13th, obviously. Ever since DLC was talked about for this game, people have thrown out different names. And, I made a video of the Friday the 13th DLC I want, and I talked about Freddy Krueger and Pamela Voorhees. So those aren't going to be the two we're going to talk about. If you want to hear what I think about Freddy, and I did kind of talk about what I thought Freddy could be like in this world and how they could use him and how he could possibly fit, go watch that video. But for this video, I want to kind of go off the beaten path. This is going to be pretty different. I want to suggest two other killers that could possibly fit in this gaming world. And if not this game, maybe a game made entirely to them. But these are characters that if you stretch them out enough, could possibly fit into Friday the 13th, the game. So the first one is more of a fan favorite for me, somebody that I would like, is Ghostface from Scream. Now, Scream is my personal favorite horror film, and it's not out of left field that this character could happen. This character is a killer. This killer is pretty iconic, right? A lot of people know the face. A lot of people dress up as the character for Halloween and just in general, maybe to go kill people. But people know who this person is, and it's got a long legacy of being used. Scream is, in a way, a dead franchise. I still love the movies. I wish they would make a Scream 5. I know, Wes Craven, obviously, the man behind it, passed away, so that may be difficult to happen. But, the Scream movies are phenomenal movies. Scream 1 through 3, I really loved all of them. I know a lot of people didn't like 3. Scream 4 was a fantastic movie, and then they had the Scream TV show. So it's not like Scream isn't relevant. It definitely is. Ghostface is relevant. So how would they use him in the game? Well, that would be the tricky part, obviously. Seeing Ghostface in a game would be pretty cool. Seeing the mask, seeing the black outfit that the character wears as a game, or put into a game, that'd be pretty cool. Obviously, fitting him into the game of Friday the 13th would be a little bit more difficult. It's a person, right? It's always a person. And so it'd be tough to replicate Jason's powers. I talked about in the other video with Freddy that maybe if you just used a lot of the same Jason powers, that would work. For Ghostface, I don't think he'd be able to teleport because, he's just human. There's no supernatural element to him, right? But what you could do is kind of play off of the other factors of him. For one, he's known for chasing, or he or she. He's I don't want to make it sound like it's just a guy. Technically, it's anybody you want. Ghostface is incredibly fast oftentimes, right? They chase people down. They're good at hunting. So maybe you emphasize the speed factor. And that's another aspect of this character is it's a person. It's a living person. So killing him or her would be, in a way, easier. So you'd have to play off with that. Some suggestions, like I said, the speed thing, maybe you just make the character extremely fast, but very easy to stun or knock down. Obviously, we've seen in the movies, Neve Campbell's character has kind of stunned them, has thrown things, has, whacked them over. And you see that even with their victims, how they can elude Ghostface for a brief time. So maybe you bring that into the games a little bit. Maybe you make it very easy to stun Ghostface, but you make it very easy for Ghostface to catch back up to the counselors. So maybe he's faster at catching up. Maybe you emphasize the fact that he has a knife, right? So that would obviously be the primary weapon is a blade. And you could maybe have one of the special powers, one of the abilities, be like a really quick stabbing motion where he does a lot of damage very, very quickly. Maybe he doesn't kill, but he does a lot to stun or injure. And that does play into effect in Friday the 13th, the game. When you hit the counselors once or twice with Jason, you'll injure them. Maybe with Ghostface, it's a lot easier to do that with the speed element. Maybe it'd be an interesting thing to have a counselor play the game and make it so that you start the game off with 8 counselors and then one of you becomes Ghostface. That way you would know the counselor's location because you could play off of that, right? Maybe you would know where the counselors are because you were once one of them. And that oftentimes is what Ghostface is. It's a person that's connected to the main characters, connected to the victims, and then something happened to them and then they go after these characters. So maybe you could, this would be very different. I'm not saying this is going to happen. It almost certainly will not, but this is just a fun thing to talk about. And like I said, variations, I don't know if there'd necessarily be variations because it's kind of kept the same over the 4 movies and the TV show. It's kind of like a newer mask and stuff like that, but it looks pretty much the same, so you wouldn't have to do variations to it. But I think Ghostface would kind of work for doors, for bashing in doors. He would maybe just kick the door. You know, in some of the movies at times there's even 2 of them. There's 2 Ghostfaces, and so maybe you could make a supernatural element or aspect with that in the game, and maybe you can kind of not clone yourself, but have like a disguise, right? Maybe put one up, scare a counselor, kind of like in Dead by Daylight, the doctor, how you can shock them and they will hallucinate and see you and see things that aren't really there. Maybe you could place a duplicate Ghostface throughout the map and then be able to hear when the counselors see it. So those are just my ideas for Ghostface. Second person, now this is a character that very well could happen. Not saying that like it will, but in terms of being able to pull this character and put it directly in Friday the 13th makes a lot of sense. Like people have said, they want Freddy. Freddy is a very popular character that people want in this game. This character is Michael Myers that I want to talk about. Now, Michael Myers, I think, would be a very, very good duplicate Jason, because Michael Myers and Jason have a lot in common. They're not the same character, but they really work well. They work the exact same way, too. Both of them are kind of this unkillable force, right? Both of them are strong. Both of them seem to have, like, these sorts of powers that, like, get them into positive positions for those specific characters. So it's not like Michael Myers is actually that different. He's very much the same. And, he's got the iconic knife. He's got the iconic mask. But, again, like Jason, he can't really be killed. So that would be almost the exact same thing. You throw Michael Myers into the game, you do the exact same thing you would do with Jason. You would maybe just figure out how you're going to do the sweater, stun, Tommy Jarvis kill thing. You'd have to figure out how to do that, but I'm sure that wouldn't be that difficult. But the fact that you wouldn't be able to kill Michael Myers without serious work is the same thing as Jason. He's very strong. You could have him breaking down the door be the exact same thing that Jason does. He could whack his knife on the door 1,000 times. Like Dead by Daylight did, he's a character in Dead by Daylight, and you could even pull in some of the attributes that they used in that, how stalking is the main thing you do with him in Dead by Daylight, right? The more you watch a character from afar, but focus in on that character, that builds up an instant kill with Michael Myers in terms of Dead by Daylight. Now, Friday the 13th could do the same thing. Maybe if you stalk a person for long enough, maybe it just gives you something more, right? Maybe it gives you faster speed. Maybe it gives you the ability to track a second counselor, right? Maybe if you focus on someone long enough, you'll always be able to see where that person goes no matter what, including in a house. Like when the house lights up red, maybe you'd still see the character like walk up the stairs and stuff. So it's very possible that could be something you could do with stalking. And stalking is kind of a thing in Friday the 13th anyway. And the rest of the powers would largely remain the same. I mean, he has these, when you watch the movies, he gets into favorable positions for himself, so you could argue he may have morphing, teleporting ability, so you could keep all of the same things. You could keep sense, but kind of transform it into a stalking kind of thing. And, the stalk ability that Jason has, it's a little bit different than what I was just talking about with Michael Myers. But so you had to change a few things up, but overall, Michael Myers is a very good idea that wouldn't require so much work. I think of the 3, if we bring in Freddy, Ghostface, and Michael Myers is easily the easiest character to imagine being in Friday the 13th. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if one day on Halloween they had an update where you could play as a Michael Myers skinned Jason for like the weekend or something. I think that's not out of the realm of possibilities for this studio. I think it could definitely happen. So he's a character that I think one day maybe we could see. Ghostface is, like I said, a personal favorite for me. I'd like to see him, but that would be rather difficult. You'd have to kind of stretch what you think of him and how you think of the character. And Freddy, I know everybody loves Freddy and wants him, but that would also be quite I think that could also work in the terms of he's kind of unkillable and this and that, and he attacks when you least expect it, and he can kind of morph and change and all this kind of stuff. He has similar attributes to Jason, but as I said in that video, I don't know if you would do right by him by putting him into Friday the 13th, because then you're kind of losing out on what that character is. Maybe he gets his own game. Maybe Ghostface could get his own game, you know. It would depend. Obviously, Jason has the draw of Friday the 13th and kind of the name. People know who he is. I think Freddy is the same way. So, but of those three, Michael Myers is definitely the most able, I think, that would be put in the game. So I want to know your guys' opinions. What do you think of my kind of picks that I would put in Friday the 13th? Do you have any? Is there any that I missed that you would like to see in a perfect world where you could take them out of their movie and put them in Friday the 13th? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Like and share this video, and I will see you guys on the next Friday the 13th video.